it's a prelude to an all-out war against Gaddafi, the people against Gaddafi. And I think that's what's unifying the people. So therefore, I think the conclusion is the possibility of civil war only exists if Gaddafi remains, God forbidding. So, excuse me. The civil war scare tactic, as well as the fundamentalist scare tactic and the oil scare tactics and all of these different scare tactics that he either directly or indirectly mentioned in his speech, these are things that Gaddafi is using to try to convince the international community as well as Libyans inside that my presence is your stability, which nobody believes right now. That wall of fear that he was able to use as a scare tactic doesn't work anymore. The people have spoken out. On February 17th, or even 2 days before that, people went to the street and said, enough is enough. You have to leave. We want our rights. We want to establish that. So the civil war possibilities is not even existent, in my opinion. And I think it's reflected in the reality today. When you look at this, is the 7th day since the first protest in Benghazi in front of the courthouse, in front of the security prison. Sorry. When you look at that, the possibility of civil war is not reflected in any of the actions taken. When you see the military leaders who have defected, the diplomats who have defected, the tribal leaders who have defected and are now leading the cities who are completely rid of Gaddafi's security forces, these people are talking about Libya. I just heard a few minutes ago Suleiman Mahmoud, who is the general leading the army in the city of Tobruk. Okay, he's one of the most influential people in the military. He's a retired general now, but he's still very influential. He made it very clear in his speech when he is now stepping on the side of the people, stepping out of Gaddafi's shadow with the people. He is talking about Libya, not his tribe, not Tobruk. The same thing from Mustafa Abdel Jalil, who was the former Minister of Justice. He is talking about Libya. All these tribal leaders, everyone is talking about Libya. So there is no civil war as long as Gaddafi's not there.
Mr. Abdullah, we're running out of time. I want to get a final thought from Nouri Al-Mismari. Mr. Al-Mismari, does it embarrass or shame you that Libya, it seems, is forever synonymous with Muammar al-Gaddafi and that he is the chief symbol of the nation?
Well, first of all, I would like just to say something before. I do agree 100% of what Mr. Mohammed Ali Abdullah was saying. There is no civil war in Libya. If there will be Libyan against Libyan, it's only for the simple reason will be Libyans, the pure Libyans of the people, against the supporter, which they were fighting and struggling for their survival, so not to be judged when he falls down. So as he said to you, Suleiman Mahmoud, General Suleiman Mahmoud, and Mustafa, the Minister of Justice, and Abdul Fattah Yunus, the Commander-in-Chief of the commandos and paratroopers, and he was a Minister of Interior, they left. They were not talking about their tribes. They were talking about Libya. We are never divided. There never have been or never happened in the history that Libyans were against Libyans. That will never happen again. But that he's trying to do to divide us so he can be in power. But this will not happen. But I feel very, very ashamed to have such a leader killing his people with mercenaries. There is I mean, why, what for? Just to be in the power? He said, I am not in power. Why he doesn't go down? As Mr. Muhammad Ali was saying, enough is enough.
Okay.
You must step down.
Okay.
If you ask me to step down, I will step down.
Mr. Al-Mismari, on that note, we'll leave it there. We have run out of time. Thank you very much for joining us from Paris, Nouri Al-Mismari and Mohammed Ali Abdullah from London. It was a great pleasure speaking to both of you, gentlemen. And thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. As always, we welcome your comments, your suggestions, or your questions. You can email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Bye-bye.
Business Latest is brought to you by Catalum, the most efficient and environmentally friendly aluminium smelter. Business Latest is brought to you by Catalum, the most efficient and environmentally friendly aluminium smelter.
All the news, all the time. AlJazeera.net/English.
Malaysian ingenuity has created amongst the world's greenest, most cost-efficient buildings. It's created the world's tallest self-installing wellhead platform, designed the largest and most advanced racecourses, and constructed the most futuristic Formula One racing circuits. When the world needs services of the highest caliber and creativity, they look to Malaysia. Service excellence for the world.
On the next Rizkan show, is the pen mightier than the sword? Can literature inspire revolutions? And what role do artists and intellectuals play on the front line of popular uprisings? Rizkan at this time on Al Jazeera.
See the world from every angle and every side. Al Jazeera.
This is Al Jazeera.
Hello and welcome to the News Hour, live from Doha. I'm Taimur Nabili, and from our news centres here in Doha, in London and in Washington, D.C., these are the main stories. More than 1,000 dead. Italy's foreign minister says reports of Libya's escalating violence are to be believed. Malta turns back a Libyan plane reportedly carrying the daughter of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. And a Libyan general has told Al Jazeera that an Air Force pilot chose to disobey orders and eject from his plane rather than bomb protesters in Benghazi.
Hello, I'm Felicity Barr in London with the latest Libyan developments from here in Europe, including some leaders press for sanctions, but also warn of a refugee crisis as the EU predicts hundreds of thousands will flee Libya.
I'm Nick Clark in Washington. The top story from the Americas. The US State Department confirms they're considering sanctions against Libya.
Well, it is now 7 days since the start of the uprising in Libya, and we can bring you some pictures from Libya live from inside the country, one of the rare occasions when we've managed to get live pictures out. These are anti-government protests taking place in the northeastern city of Derna. Demonstrators there, and we've seen pictures also earlier on from Tobruk and from Benghazi, all of them calling for unity and for the